People call it Atomos and Atomos. I like Atomos, or I could just call it the Ninja. So we actually ended up choosing to work with Atomos Ninja 2 recorders, which are an external recorder which allows us to shoot in much higher bit rate than the internal codecs on these DSLRs. So basically it's an external recorder, so it allows us to bypass the internal codec of the DSLR cameras, and we're not limited to a 20-minute or 15-minute recording time. And also the media that it records onto is a standard SSD hard drive that you would put in your computer. So these are like about $100 or about 120 gigs. So I mean, the cost is, it's pretty good. We can get about an hour and 15 minutes of Avid 220 Avid what's the codec? Avid DNX HD 220. We can get about an hour and a half out of that on a full card. So I like the fact that it's not just an external recorder, but it's actually a monitor as well. So on the back of a DSLR, we weren't able to even see the screen. So we use the features within this device to actually have focus peaking. The workflow is pretty simple. I mean, it just takes a standard solid state hard drive, and you slide it in and hit a big red button, and you're good to go. But there are limitations with it. It's a $1,000 recorder versus a $3,000 recorder, and a $4,000 professional monitor and everything. And with those limitations, especially focus peaking, it will, on the screen, it will say that it's in focus, but if you really look at it on a much larger monitor after, it can be a little soft, especially with how short the throw is on the focus of a DSLR ring. The slightest movement can just throw something out of focus. If you want to be that critical, you probably have to step up to those professional pieces of equipment. In our case, I think the aesthetic and everything of the film worked with that. So those little characteristics of a missed focus here and there, we could get away with it because of that.
Let's say the fact that you chose the Atomos, actually, whatever you say about it, I'll tell you, we would have had a f***ing major difficulty focusing without that thing. Even though it's not perfect.
We wouldn't have been able to do it.
We wouldn't have been able to do it, yeah. You're absolutely right.
You can't use the back of a DSLR screen to pull focus. And handheld, because the cameras actually were sitting back behind us. We just wouldn't have been able to see it.
Yeah, right? You're right. We were on agreement on lights. We were in agreement on how we were going to shoot it, right? So the 2.8, and let's say, and to be honest with you, I mean, I'll tell you, I think I was actually more leaning towards a 4.
Shooting at f4?
Because I thought
it would have given us more in
terms of, like, let's say, I thought that we were going to miss footage because of focus issues. But it didn't happen. I mean, if I have...
There's a couple times we buzzed them, but I mean...
But it works.
Yeah.
Half a second there, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
It's fine. I think it was a great decision.
It would have been impossible to do without some sort of external monitor. We had reference monitors set up, but I mean, as camera operators, we couldn't see those. So we needed something to be able to make sure that what we saw was what we were recording. And even though the screen's not that much physically bigger than the back of a DSLR, the focus peaking is what saved us, really.